Hey hens, how's everybody diddly doing? How's everybody holding up? Today is going to be my autism video, which is a video that I've been planning on making for a very long time now, and I asked for questions and everything because I really feel like this could be a really good thing for you to understand me as a person, because there's things about me that you can't really see through a camera in a controlled environment. And also, I think it might help a lot of you people, because a big trend that I'm seeing right now is like, everybody's watching her, but she's looking at, and then it's just signs of autism in women. So I'm hoping that this will help a lot of people, and I also think it's really going to help me too. I've prepared a PowerPoint presentation because it's what I'm really good at, okay? I feel better when things are ordered and structured, okay? That's the autism bestie. Also, this video will be talking about a lot of nerdy stuff and fan fiction, so I feel like it's only right to share my latest collection drop, which is the fan fiction collection. That's right, besties. This is all about dead gay wizards from the 70s. Hopefully the next collection will be Marvel, but you can buy it on lunarisle.co.uk. It is international shipping, and you can also use the code first order for 15% off your first order. I love yous! Here is my self-titled PowerPoint on autism by jessemcnamarax, M.A.ons. That is me. I like the word autism because it makes me feel funky and fresh. Thank you. This is also a very nerve-wracking experience for me because this is very vulnerable. So if I'm a little bit off, that's why. It's all right. Keep on keeping on. I also have not put any fucking design on this PowerPoint because, listen, I am not Da Vinci. I put my heart and soul into this PowerPoint. And just because it's not colourful doesn't mean it's not valid. Sorry that I am going to be taking over the screen with some things, but these points are mainly for me. There is a saying, and I think that this saying is the most integral thing that you should take away from this video, and it's that if you know one person with autism, then you know one person with autism, bestie, because autism is a spectrum. You can have two people with autism and they have completely different traits. It's not a checkbox kind of thing. It's a spectrum. Some of these notes as well are taken out of my diagnostic report as well. Autism can be categorized by qualitative difficulties in social communication and reciprocal social interactions. Very much me, bestie. Qualitative difficulties in social imagination and restrictive, repetitive and stereotype behaviours and interests. Very much me, bestie. Sensory difficulties have been increasingly recognised as central to autism. And also, autism is not a mental illness. It's not something that you can get over or that happens to you later in life. You're born with it, you die with it. It's a developmental disorder / disability. Some people don't like to use the term disabled, some people do. I do personally. I am disabled mentally. See, that sounds like a joke, but it's not. And I also just want to say that one time, if you are the girl that happens to be watching this, I made a joke about autism one time, and this girl called me out on Twitter because I think her brother had autism, and it's not something that people should make jokes about. She thought that I was just not autistic and making jokes about autism, which, do you know what? So good on you, bestie. And I mean this genuinely. Good on you for calling out your favourite creators for saying jokes like that, because they're not funny. But then when I told her that I have autism, she deleted her entire account. And if you are watching this, I just want to let you know that I agree with what you've done. I think you were 100% in the right, you know, if I didn't have autism. But, you know, I feel like that kind of stuff is going to happen less the more that I talk about it. But yeah, that girl has been on my mind for years, and I just want to let you know that I love you and I miss you. So before I dived into my personal experience as well, I wanted to put some pictures from the NHS website on the signs of autism, like finding it hard to understand what others are thinking or feeling, getting very anxious about social situations, finding it hard to make new friends, seeming blunt, not really knowing how to communicate what you're feeling, taking things literally, routines, social rules, not understanding, no comprende, avoiding eye contact, closeness of people, noticing small details, patterns, smells or sounds that others do not. I can fucking hear electrics and it kills me. Special interests and planning things. I'm a big fucking planner. If I don't know the exact itinerary, I can't settle. Also, I just want to point out that girls show autism differently. A lot more boys get diagnosed with autism than girls, but it's not necessarily because autism happens more to boys. It's more that girls are better at masking. Judging girls' interests is already a well done thing. We've seen it all the time with fucking fangirls. I can't believe you like One Direct. Like, let people enjoy things, all right? Also, autistic girls' interests tend to be more mainstream, and because girls' interests generally are already so so taboo for some fucking random unknown reason, unbeknownst to me, then that kind of stuff flies under the radar. Some autistic girls tend to be quiet. I was not that girl. That was not me. Sorry. Basically, I was the hyperactive, very much presenting autistic, but I was a girl, so it couldn't have been me. And also sexism as well. People don't take women seriously in terms of healthcare. So there's many reasons why girls don't get diagnosed as much as boys. These are just some of them. And some of the things that I've encountered. Girls also get misdiagnosed a lot. People love to misdiagnose girls with borderline personality disorder or even anorexia because girls show it differently, and the stereotyped perception of autism is very much a male-dominated one, that a lot of girls fly under the radar by getting diagnosed with other things. How did I know I have autism? I get asked this question a lot because I was diagnosed late with autism. It wasn't caught in my childhood, even though it probably potentially should have been. Yeah, it would save me a lot of hassle, actually. A lot of suicidal thoughts. A lot of feelings like I was a freak. But basically, my friends started calling me autistic as a joke. Not friends with them anymore, but yeah, my friends started calling me autistic as a joke. And I was like, you started calling me autistic as a joke, but bro, I don't think it's a joke anymore. And that's when I actually started researching about autism. My cousin has autism as well. He's a boy. The way we present is very different. It did get pulled up one time in school, but then I got changed out of that set. So it just never really got anywhere. But a teacher did pull my mum to the one side and say, I think this girl might have autism. But then everything changed and she was no longer my teacher. God bless you, Miss Kaching. You knew me better than I knew myself. Right, things that should have been obvious. Let's just call these ones out. As I said, I was not diagnosed as a child, but I potentially should have been. First off, only saying the word Moluku. Right, and I don't just mean like for a day, I mean for an extended period of time. The story was, we were in Spain and I heard this Spanish man say Moluku, which isn't even a Spanish word, and that's all I said for like months. And I mean, my mum would wake me up and I'd just turn around in my sleep and say Moluku. Now I know that is actually echolalia, which is something I also struggle with on my YouTube channel, besties. That is something that I struggle with, and it's something that a lot of people have complaints about as well, which is so valid, but this is just how I am. There was a time when the only thing that I would say was Gemma Collins quotes, and that's a real struggle that I have because it's the only thing, like my mind just reverts to it. It's like a comforting thing for me to say Gemma Collins quotes over and over again. But again, that's people quote vines all the time. It's quite a normal thing. But I guess it's just the amount that you do it, you know. Also Tory, slash that kind of ties into elevated sense of justice, which we'll talk about later. Also, as a kid, there was no imaginative play for me. I did not think outside of the box as a kid in terms of play. All I'd done was dress up as my favourite characters and act out scenes from the films. And not even in a particularly entertaining way, to be honest. I just used to walk up and down the stairs in an orphan uniform, holding a ball, going, is this what we're waiting for? Will we live till 84? Moving on from that, my special interests, funnily enough, besties, were Oliver Twist, still to this day gets me fucking feral, which also ties into my like Victorian special interest, the broader world of that. Also The Sims and Harry Potter. When I was 5-year-old, I taught myself how to use a computer. The rest of my family weren't really that tech savvy. I taught myself how to use a fucking computer, bestie, so I could play The Sims. And yeah, Harry Potter. Strange relationship with that one now. My relationship with Harry Potter mainly does exist in terms of fanning and fandom, stuff like that. And if you also have difficult relationships with Harry Potter, fandom is a great way to go because it's all basically made up. Fuck you, J.K. Rowling. You know what you did. Also, if people played with me, they wouldn't really play with me. They'd kind of just have to watch me play. And by that, I mean my best friend growing up. If you're watching this, hello. Seems we're both a bit autistic, innit? All she'd do is have a chair next to me and watch me play The Sims. God bless you. I barely even gave you a go. Also, another way that I used to play was I used to clean my room with polish, like every single surface with polish, and I used to make my room super neat and tidy. That was how I played, and I used to have meltdowns if my sister touched anything. Arms and legs out, the toys out the pram, meltdowns, lol. I've also always had a very interesting relationship with gender. If you've watched my videos for a long time, you might have heard about the Joshua Luke debacle. I've never really, like, boys toys, girls clothes, boys clothes. I've just always played with whatever the fuck I wanted to play with, and these gender roles and everything really had no impact on my life. I was just me, and that's a very good thing about my family and about my parents, and I'm in a very privileged situation with that kind of thing. My parents have always given me so much room to just be me and explore me. My family are also very mentally ill, which also helps. Not a good thing, but what can mental illness do for me? Also, something to know is that in primary school, I was model student. I was not to toot my own horn, besties, I was a fucking addition to that classroom. I was great. There was a slight issue where I didn't realise that bringing a sword into school was not socially acceptable because obviously it could hurt people. I just thought they were cool. I didn't want to harm anybody, but that was an issue that we got into. But yeah, I was a delight to have in primary school. You're welcome to my primary school teachers because I was amazing. And then we got to secondary school and there was a very stark, instant difference in behaviour. But not only that, there was also a very stark difference in my behaviour from classroom to classroom, because some classrooms, my teachers would be like, I just don't understand why you're even on this report, Jessica, because you were so quiet and an angel in my class. And then other ones, I was a shit. I was a little shit. I found secondary school exceedingly difficult to the point where I think I was the only person in my secondary school that got put on half days towards the end because my school just couldn't handle me. And I did eventually end up getting kicked out, which, you know, I feel like is important to talk about because a lot of the times when we engage with people online, it's all very model success stories. Like, I was a straight A student. I done really well in school. I did not. I got kicked out. And stuff like this also makes me really sad because I had so much potential. I was a very smart kid, but I was kind of failed by the system because it wasn't picked up upon. I could have done so much better. I mean, to be fair, I still got really good grades despite being kicked out and not attending school. Also, I was consistently overwhelmed and underperforming, and I consistently had breakdowns. The amount of times that my parents would be in meetings and they'd be like, she's got so much potential, she's just not utilising it. Well, true, but I'd also have periods where I would utilise it and I'd, you know, put the face on and be like, yeah, I'm going to be this great student. And then it'd all come crashing down consistently. It was a consistent pattern in my life. Realistically, secondary school was just way too much for me. Way too much stimulation, way too many people. There was also a breakdown at age 14 where I had to decide what subjects I wanted to do for GCSEs. There's also a breakdown at 16 where I had to decide what college I wanted to go to. That was really a dark time. Like, that was not an exciting time in my life. I did not want that change to happen. And change has always been a bad thing for me, besties. Even good change is overwhelming change if you're autistic. And also 18, like when I actually had to kind of survive by myself and like either go to college or get a job or go to university or whatever, I could, like, it was just entirely too much. I really fucking struggled. The years of 18 to 22, and I've been through some difficult shit in my life, but those years are probably some of my darkest years that I've ever known, ever. Also, no eye contact. I'm not very good at eye contact. I look into the camera sometimes, but you know me, like right now, I just don't look at people. It may look like I'm looking at people, but if I look at you, bestie, I do not look you in the eyes. I couldn't tell you the eye colour of any of my fucking friends, to be honest. I'm looking at you here, right? Veet. No, I jest. I need to veet. I veet my tash and I'm not afraid to say it, okay? Let's normalise people having body hair, okay? Because people have fucking body hair. I have a tash. Social difficulties. Sorry, I'm sweating actually, getting a bit nervous. So the biggest thing that I struggle with is one-on-one contact. I absolutely despise one-on-one contact and absolutely can't do it. I don't like uncontrolled social situations. Like, for example, my mum, I popped out of her womb, right? She knows me so very well. That is a different kind of one-on-one communication because I know what I can expect with my mum. These social difficulties aren't just like, oh yeah, I hate having one-on-one contact with like someone who serves me at Tesco's or whatever. This also bleeds into my close personal life because my best friends, who I love with all of my heart, love them so much, I can't have one-on-one contact with them. Even like with my sister, sometimes it's hard for me to have one-on-one contact. I need to have a lot of energy and a lot of spoons. Sometimes it's just fucking difficult and it's debilitating, and it also makes me go mute. I struggle with selective mutism and it's fucking shit. And honestly, this is one of the ones that upsets me the most because I want to be able to talk to my friends one-on-one, like have that come easy to me. I really want that. And I don't have that and it really upsets me. But also not every autistic people are like this. Some autistic people prefer one-on-one contact. I prefer a group setting. Honestly, take that responsibility off my fucking shoulders, besties. But yeah, my mum is like the main person that I'm comfortable around. My mum is my carer. She is my carer. Thank you, Julia. But it's really sad as well. In my autism report, if my mum dies, then we have to set in a care plan for a new carer. That's sad. Julia! So, scripted things. My thing is very much scripted. This is quite a usual thing that people have as well. Like, I know a lot of people have this kind of experience, but it is the only experience if you're autistic. Everything is scripted. I know a script of what is going to happen if I walk in Tesco's, and I don't even mean just like a verbal script. I mean a full-on detailed plan. Like, I know where I'm going, I know this bit, and if something interrupts that, it's like when your computer reboots Imagine your computer just rebooting and rebooting and rebooting. That's what happens to me if something goes off script, which is also why one-on-one contact is so difficult for me. I've also been told, I don't personally think so, but I've also been told I have a monotone voice. My flatmate from university told me that my voice doesn't get higher pitched, it just gets louder. And that changed how I see myself. Like, that is so fucking true. But also, if I'm stressed out, I tend to have a more monotone voice. Specifically, if you look at my videos from 2020, my voice is a lot more monotone. And monotone voices, it can be a symptom of autism as well. Also, I had to film something recently and I got very overwhelmed with it. Like, I had to go somewhere to film. And towards the end of it, there was a stark contrast between my voice at the beginning and end, because at the end I was so overwhelmed that my voice could only come out in monotone. Yeah. Also, I don't like to talk about what I like to talk about, which is why I get a lot of people saying, like, I really feel like we could be friends. I'm autistic too. And I really understand that one, because yeah, I only like to talk about what I like to talk about. That's an autistic thing. Sorry. I'm also very literal. There's a couple of times this has happened. The main one I can think about is when I had braces. I've really struggled with my teeth for a long time, like with pain and stuff like that. And when I had braces, I said, it hurts to brush. And the dentist said, just brush through the pain. I took that as brushing through the pain repetitively. And then my sister was like, no, just brush your teeth normally don't keep brushing through the pain and stuff like that. I'm trying to think of other things. There's been times when, like, there's things that I just don't catch on to in conversation. Like, me and my mum were driving somewhere and I said, so are we going to, say, Tesco's? And my mum said, well, we're going to this other place. And I was like, okay, but are we going to Tesco's? And she went, we're going to this other place. So, and what I wasn't understanding was that my mum was saying, yes, obviously we're going to Tesco's because we're going to this place that is next to Tesco's, blah, blah, blah. So that kind of thing. Like, I take things very literally, but I also need people to be very literal with me. I can't fucking read between the lines, bestie. I cannot do that. I can't read the room. Also, I can be mean without meaning to be. And this one upsets me a lot because, like, yeah, nobody likes knowing that they've upset somebody else. That it happened yesterday with my mum, and I called her jessemcnamarax, and she had to be like, okay. My mum's really good at stuff like this. Like, she explains it and it's not condescending at all, but my mum's like, martyr is not a good term to call somebody and it's not usually a nice thing. And I was like, well, martyr just means like you're willing to die for the cause. And she was like, yeah, but the way that people view it, even if it means one thing, people view it as a sarcastic remark. And I was like, it's literally a compliment. I call myself a martyr in Fortnite all the time. But yeah, that kind of stuff upsets me a lot. Also, I thrive on alone time. I love being alone. Some people, like, I'm very much an introvert. 100% an introvert. Being with people really takes my social battery out. And if I have to be with people, then I need time alone in a dark room with nothing on to just decompress. I need decompression a lot. Baths and fan fiction are how I decompress, and being alone. No lights. However, this is also a bad thing, which we'll talk about in 2020. I also have absolutely no boundaries on what I talk about or where I talk about it. I just can't kind of understand these things, which probably embarrasses my family, but what's done is done. Do you know what I mean? Like, I just don't understand why it's not normal to talk about like poo or fart. Like, this is the kind of thing I don't understand, because literally every single person in the world farts. So why are people so scared of it? Why are we scared of farting as a society? I feel like society would be infinitely better. A lass got hospitalised recently because she held a fart around her boyfriend. Why are we doing this, right? Can we just fucking scrap social customs, honestly? I also feel like, actually, delving back onto this point, we are going back, besties. I feel like this actually works better with my YouTube channel, because I just talk about any rant. Like, I do genuinely just talk about the first thing that comes to my head. And I find that a lot of people relate to me in that sense. I find that my videos are quite friendly rather than informative, because do not come to me for information, besties. Also, one thing that I didn't realise that not everybody felt is I only have one feeling. I don't actually know what I feel. I have one feeling in my stomach, and I have to take time out of my day to sit and like talk about my feelings and kind of pluck them out of me to know what I'm feeling. And it's a very odd, well, it's not really odd to me because it's all that I know about, but hearing that other people have like different feelings is very odd for me, because fear, anxiety, stress and excitement and all happiness, giddiness, that all kind of feels like the same feeling in my stomach. So I have to work through what I work through, you know? I feel like this can be quite a difficult concept for you to wrap your head around if you kind of know what you're feeling at any given point. But yeah, I think it's called interoception, which also if that is the word. Also, my body doesn't tell me things. Like I said, I love being alone, but also 2020 quarantine was bad for me because I was alone and my body doesn't tell me things. We will also delve into that later because that had bad negative effects. I also have to press my bladder. Oh, yeah, there we go. I need a wee. To check if I need a wee. Usually it will tell me when I desperately need to go. Like sometimes I'll just go to the toilet and I'll be like, oh, I need a poo. My poop is coming. Speaking of the fact that I'm not shy to talk about things, I find pooping or like going for a poo to be very overloading sensory wise. Do not perceive, like I just find going to the toilet is such a waste of my time. I'm not one of the people that can like sit on the toilet and scroll through the phone. Absolutely not. I'm a very efficient toileter. Do not perceive me. It makes me very uncomfortable. The feeling of having it makes me actually feel violently ill. If I was on TikTok or something, I have to look away from the screen because people looking at me, even if they're not looking at me to have a poo, I'm just on TikTok. That makes me so uncomfortable. I can't have people, and I can't have like interaction directly after I've had one. I'm like, I need time to process what's just happened to me. Also, this includes hygiene. I don't have the instinct to do hygiene. And in case you're hearing this and being like, stinky, that is ableist. All right. Let's just squash that one right there. Hygiene as well with mental illnesses and stuff is usually the first thing to go. And it's especially more complex with autism because I don't have the need in me. Like I don't have the, I should brush my teeth now. Oh, I need a bath now. I don't have that kind of thing. Thankfully, YouTube helps me because I have a kind of routine going on where I'm like, I need to brush my teeth because I need to record a video. That's kind of what, but my mum has to, just don't judge people for their hygiene things. Obviously, I would rather choose to have the innate understanding that, or the instinct to brush my teeth every day. I just don't, right? I do brush my teeth, but not because instinctual. Anyway, I feel like that's a very important one. And I see too many people judging too many people on hygiene. I find that is part of mental illness that is still very much stigmatized, but it's real. Also, I thrive on routine. This is the thing with autistic people, right? A lot of us thrive on routine. Unfortunately, my body hasn't fucking got one, which makes me very upset a lot of the time. And there's also times when it just can't work because my body has decided to fucking flip me out of whatever routine I'm in. And my body also doesn't tell me that I need to sleep or I need to wake up. So again, like very much when I only go for a wee when my body is like, you are about to piss yourself, girl. I only ever fall asleep when my body is like, I physically cannot sustain myself anymore and it falls asleep for me. So which means that it's really hard for me to get into a routine. I also get anxiety about sleeping, which is another thing. But sleeping issues and insomnia and stuff like that as well is a very common thing for autistic people. Next up, sensory issues. Beep, bop, beep, bop, bop, boop. Uneven weight can send me into a meltdown. Thinking about my childhood, I remember having an absolute meltdown because one side of my cover was just too heavy. And my family were looking at me like, what is going on with this girl? A lot of autistic people like weighted things, like weighted blankets. Not me. The only thing I do like, the thing I fuck with the most, when people sit on my feet. That is the most reassuring thing to me. Or hug from my mum or my dad. I do not hug anyone else. Don't like to hug anyone else. Don't like to hug family members. They know this. I would rather shit in my hands and clap than hug my brother or sister. We don't do that. But my mum and dad, nieces and nephews, they're the only ones I love that. Also, a lot of my sensory issues also stem from like my stomach area, which also, it might come from that one feeling because precedent there just causes that one feeling and I don't know what that one feeling is, so I have to work it out and it causes a lot. So like tight trousers, tight skirts, which is why YouTube is a perfect job for me because the majority of the time I'm in pajama bottoms, which is perfect. Perfect. Boobs as well. I hate having boobs. I hate being reminded of them. I hate how much they hurt all the time. Vagina. I hate having a vagina. Honestly, if you were to ask me what my ideal body type for myself would be, it would be a Ken doll. Much to unpack. Showing skin as well is a really... Because I always say that I don't like to show skin and it's not from a conservative with a small C standpoint. It's from a I feel better bundled up. Like my skin feels better. I feel really uncomfortable. Like my arms here, this would not be my chosen outfit, right? I do have a dressing gown right here. Unfortunately, I'm sweating, which we will also talk about in a couple of bullet points, actually. I prefer to have covers over me, to be covered. I do feel really uncomfortable showing skin, especially when skin touches each other. Especially because I'm very sweaty all the time. Bright light as well. Not necessarily in the way you'd think. Like I have an overhead light and is it annoying me a little bit? Yeah, but I'd say only the same amount as any person it'd annoy. But like things like if I'm watching TV and my window's open, the light from that window she'll fucking get onto my skin, bestie. It's like an itch. Unpleasant itch. Body temperature. I'm just interjecting because I actually forgot the biggest one. All of my life, I have sworn blind that I've had an allergy to water, even though it's not really, because we're made like 70% water. Getting a bath, as much as it's like a decompression thing for me, after a bath, no. I can't run through sprinklers or anything in the summer because it makes my skin itch like crazy. Also, I couldn't drink water for the longest time because if I drank water, it would lie heavy on my stomach and it'd make me like feel like I was going to throw up. I thought it was an allergy to water, and then I got diagnosed with autism, and I was like, I'm learning about sensory issues, and I think it may potentially be that one. I've had to train myself to drink water. It's definitely a sensory issue because plain water, can't have it. Water with a little bit of juice, perfect. This is the one I hate the most, I think, out of all my sensory issues. And it's been this way all the time, no matter what weight I've been, no matter what point in my cycle I'm at, no matter what tablets I've been on. This is just me. I struggle to regulate my body temperature. I really struggle with it. It's also worse because I've got social anxiety. That makes me sweat too. So all in all, it's quite an awful experience to be in my body. I'm just constantly like sweating. Even if I'm cold, I'm still sweating. Like, it could be a snowstorm outside and I've still got sweat patches. It really pisses me off, actually, because I can't wear the colour grey at all. Sensory issues with food. I didn't think I had sensory issues with food until I was like, I have a superpower and I can tell if I'm going to like food just by looking at it. Looking back, that was autism, bestie. That was autism. I don't even have to sniff it. I can just look at it and be like, no. I also completely forgot to talk about Stims, so I'm going to talk about Stims a little bit. So I do have some, but I do this a lot with my hair, and then curl it around my thumb, and then curl it back round, and then curl it around my thumb, and then curl it back round. I do this a lot in videos as well, especially if I'm talking for a while. Another thing that I do just silently, and I didn't realise I'd done this till I had a friend text me in college and be like, what the fuck are you doing? And it's just this with my face if I'm focusing. I also clench my bum cheeks. I remember doing this a lot as a kid, especially I used to get sent home a lot because I had stomachache, anxiety, babe, and I used to just sit and clench my butt cheeks, like make me feel better. I also bite the inside of my cheeks. My inside of my cheeks are very often raw. I like to shake my legs and stuff. Also, I fold the sides of I've done purple shampoo, so my fingers look a bit purple from the dry skin, but I fold the corners of my skin in, which means I have dry skin here. And also, it got really bad one time because I was just doing it constantly and then it was just raw skin. Also, another like symptom of autism for me is posture. So I'm very much, this is my posture, but I also walk like that as well. Hang on, I walk like this.
See you later.
Oh, big up Little Simsy merch. We get your Little Simsy merch. They're actually really comfortable. And they also have pockets as well. Perfect. Mental health as well. Autistic people are much more likely to have mental health issues. And there's like a lot of reasons why, but also the world just isn't built for autistic people. But the ones that I struggle with is depression, anxiety, and also OCD tendencies. The way that my mind gets stuck in certain things is very much OCD tendencies. I haven't been diagnosed with OCD. I think it is just the autism, but like it's quite like OCD in the repetition and urge of it. It's difficult, and it comes to play a lot on YouTube as well. And then masking is also a thing, which I don't feel like a lot of people know about, but masking is basically acting. So masking is masking your autistic traits to be more pleasable for people who aren't autistic, basically. And when people say, oh my God, you don't seem autistic, that's because I'm masking, bestie. Oh, I wouldn't have thought you're autistic. That's because like I look what you consider normal kind of thing. But masking is actually a real drain on your resources. Imagine like having to act like somebody else all the time. My mask started slipping in 2020. By masking, I don't mean like I was putting on a complete different persona. I don't mean stuff like that. I mean like masking to go to the shops. In front of the camera is the most myself I am. Like this is me. Obviously, when there's when there's variables like going to Tesco, socializing with people where things aren't as predictable, then I need to mask for that kind of thing. But obviously 2020 happened and I didn't have to leave the house anymore. I didn't have to mask. I didn't even know I was masking until it started slipping. Gender as well is another topic that you wanted me to talk about. I am agender, and there is also a gender called autigender, which might suit me more. I'm not sure, but gender, because autistic people struggle with social constructs, my perception of gender for me is that it very much is a social construct for me only. And I find that I don't really relate to, like, I just feel like a floating orb going through the world. I don't even want to have a body. So I'm very outside of the thing. However, I will say that this isn't to disregard any other people's feelings upon gender. For some people, gender is completely binary. For some people, it's more of a spectrum. For me, I struggle with like I'm out of the equation is basically how to explain a gender. It's like I'm out of that social construct for me. However, for some people, it is binary. And for some people, they're born on the wrong side of the binary and they're getting to the other side. For some people, they're somewhere in the middle and they're happy to flip and change. You know what I mean? It's different for everybody. And this is my personal experience. Puberty. The bitch. Fucking hate puberty. I do class puberty as one of the most traumatic events that have ever happened to me. As I said before, change is not a pleasant experience. And my body, she changed, besties. I don't know if this is the autism, but I also went through puberty really fucking early. I started puberty in like year 3. It was difficult, bestie. I already felt like enough of a freak as it was. And then oh God. Also, periods are a sensory fucking nightmare for me. I hate cotton. Yeah, the tampon versus pads debate. Let's not shame people for that, okay? Because using a tampon makes me feel violently ill. Love the people that can. It seems like it's a really great experience. I can't experience it. But yeah, every time I have to whip the cotton out each month, difficult for me. Also, again, I hate being reminded of the fact that I have a body. So the fact that something is happening down there each month, awful. Hormones are the fucking devil because they wreak havoc on my body. They wreak havoc on my mind. Also, I don't know if this is an autistic thing, but I just have really, really bad periods that make me throw up. I don't know if it's because I'm more sensitive to the things that are happening in my body because of like the sensory issues. The way people experience birthing pains is the way that I experience period pains. Like I get the contractions of muscles and like there's my full body shakes. I'm not saying that, you know, if you've had a baby, I relate to you. Like I'm not saying like that, but I mean like, you know what I mean? Like the contraction kind of things. Like I can feel my muscles contracting. Not to say I've had a baby. Not me. I'm terrified of that kind of thing actually. My sister's done it 3 times. Sister-in-law's done it twice. Not for me. Thank you. Also, relationships. This is an important one because obviously I really struggle with one-on-one communication. I find I can make friends really easily, but keeping them is quite difficult, actually, because I find that, like, traditionally, friendships expect a lot of you, and I can't deliver on a lot of those things, and that is something that I've just come to accept. I can't deliver on a lot of them. It does help now that a lot of my friends are mostly neurodivergent, and they all live away from me, so I only see them, like, once every couple of months, or even less than that, to be honest. Like, the last time I saw Molly and Kayla was summer of 2020. The last time I saw Sasha, fucking hell, probably 2019. But like that kind of works for me because then I can, you know, be by myself and then see people and then be by myself for a long time. But I do struggle to keep physically close friendships and I do let a lot of holistic people down. Holistic people is just people without autism. So Scott and Beth, my close friends, this one is for you. I find it very difficult and it upsets me. But if there's one thing that I would want people to take away from this, it's that it has absolutely nothing to do with the people that, you know, if you're autistic and if your friend's autistic and they bail on a lot of things, it's got absolutely nothing at all to do with you. And for me personally, it really upsets me because I have these 2 amazing friends in Middlesbrough and they're absolutely fucking fantastic. And I can't see them a lot of the time because it's just too much for me. That's not to say that I don't love them with all my heart, but I take a bullet for you. You fucking bet I would, bitch. But yeah, I can't see them a lot. Also, my neurodivergent friends as well. There's kind of an unspoken, hey, I don't hear from you for 3 days. That's fine, bestie. I also struggle with like remembering that people exist, which sounds so harsh, but like unless something's right in front of me, I won't remember it exists. Very much out of sight, out of mind is the thing for me. I find that a lot of my autism traits also overlap with ADHD traits. There is a lot of overlap between the two, and I very much have that one. It's hard for me to remember people exist. Sorry, it's really not personal. It's just the way my mind's working. Doesn't mean I don't care about you. My friends also all have the same interests as me, and I'm very well aware of the fact I do live in an echo chamber where I interact with everybody who has the same political opinions, same thoughts on films, same interests, etc. Because it's just easier for me. Socialising is already so hard. But also I feel like this is also quite a normal thing with friendship as well. Me, Scott and Beth, we have a lot of similar interests. And that makes us happy. Same with my neurodivergent friends. But also what comes into it is that, like, a big thing with autistic people is a heightened sense of justice, right? I can't let things lie, right? I will ruin any family dinner if anybody shows any signs of any slight right-wing political opinion. I cannot stand for it. I absolutely will not. And you have seen it as well on YouTube. I just cannot. I do not empathise with Tories. I do not. I don't empathise with racists. And to be honest, I don't want to open my mind to hear other people's opinions. I'm quite happy with my left-wing opinions. Right? I would rather have a more inclusive world, and I don't want to debate that. I don't want to sit and debate people's rights. I don't want to hear hot takes from right-wingers about whether or not people should have everybody should have fucking rights. But the thing is as well, it's not just like a healthy debate. It's actually upsetting. I don't enjoy it. And I can talk at length, and I will. And I'll tell you who's exactly the same. My cousin, who's also got autism, he's exactly the same. But it also means I like to rant about these things. So my cousin will ring my dad sometimes, and my dad will just let my cousin talk to him for like 2 hours over some political event. And I'm very much the same. I feel things I was at EA for a Stims event when the election was happening in the UK, and I could see that it wasn't going the way that I wanted it to go. For some reason, Tories are fucking claiming the UK right now. Off with their heads. And that was like, I was in the corner of a room, tucked away on an iPad, and I was like crying on the toilet. Yeah. I feel things. Also, obviously, I'm talking about politics here, but there is actually research that autistic people have more mirror neurons. I'm not a scientist, bestie. I'm a simmer. Could also be a reason why autistic people feel things more strongly. So here is the heightened sense of justice, but it's also why I sit in bed and cry over fictional characters like Bucky Barnes, like why things like that actually genuinely make me feel sick to my stomach even though they're not real, which also could tie into play with special interests and stuff. To call it woohoo. I'm asexual. Didn't realise I was asexual. I always felt like a bit of a weirdo in that. I remember saying to a boyfriend one time, I feel like I've just came out puberty the wrong way. Oh, bestie. You came out puberty the right way for you, because I'm asexual and agender. Still romantically attracted to men though. Make it make sense. I have never in my life been sexually attracted to anybody, and that is not an insult. If you're any of my ex-boyfriends watching this, it's not an insult. I was romantically attracted into you, but I just can't be sexually attracted to anybody. Asexual isn't just that, by the way. There's multiple different things about asexuality, but this is my experience with it. I have woohooed in the past. I'd prefer not to ever do it again. But this is a difficult thing with this kind of thing. Because autism impacts literally every single thing in my life, every single thing in my brain, it's hard to differentiate between like, well, am I asexual because I've got autism? Would I be asexual if I didn't have autism? Would I be agender if I didn't have autism? It's quite hard to like differentiate those things. So I don't know if I'm asexual because I've got autism, but I'm asexual. And God, what a freeing thing to understand when it clicked and I was like, shit, that's me, bestie. You can hold my hand and that's a push. Anything more than that? No. And then also people are asking about my experience with education and going through school. And I am very, very academic, besties. I have a master's degree, first class, actually. I'm very book smart, but I'm not life smart. I'm not. I am a little bit though, and I would like to thank this to growing up in a working class environment in Middlesbrough. Middlesbrough is a rough place, and I feel like that has really helped with like my life smarts kind of thing. Thank you, Middlesbrough, the shit stain of the Northeast for that one. And like I said earlier, I had irregular behaviour in education. I wasn't consistent in my behaviour. It was very different, class to class. Also, I struggled a lot to understand what was right or wrong. Like, I remember, this sounds so bad now, like after the fact, obviously I know that printing out pictures of Hannah Montana 100 times is wrong. I know that you shouldn't do that and you shouldn't waste school resources like that. But at the time, I had a very deep interest in Hannah Montana. So I printed out 100 pictures of Hannah Montana. I got suspended for that. But a lot of the times it was like, I didn't understand that it was serious, or I didn't understand that what I was doing was wrong. I didn't understand when to be quiet. I didn't understand when to talk. And I was also, again, this is like, a lot of girls with autism can be quiet, but I was not. Like, I was the opposite, which is even more surprising that I went so undiagnosed for so long, because I was like the poster child for male autism, born female, do you know what I mean? Like, if you were sat next to me, I would talk at you. Maybe not. Like I said, irregular behaviour. Some classes, if you sat next to me, I would talk to you. Other classes, different environment, not a peep out of my mouth. And that's the thing as well, the irregular behaviour, that could have been brought up because the teachers were stumped at parents' evenings and stuff when the teachers were like, what's she like at home? And my mum was like, really well behaved at home and we have a really good relationship. I don't know why she's acting like this in some classes in school. And the teachers were stumped too because my mum would tell me off. Do you know what I mean? Like, my mum wasn't just like, oh, you was angel baby, you can do no wrong. My mum was like, this is Jane McNamara, you little fucking bastard. You are grounded. Do you know what I mean? Like, I was grounded accordingly for everything that I'd done, but it was such a stark contrast between classroom to classroom and from home to school. And looking back of it, besties, it was meltdown after meltdown after meltdown. There was one specific instance with a science teacher. This wouldn't have happened if I'd been diagnosed with autistic. She was shouting at me for being disrespectful, and I remember her saying, at least have the decency to look me in the eyes when I'm talking to you. And I wouldn't do it. And she was like, Jessica. And I got in shitloads of trouble for that. But the thing is with autism, eye contact is painful for me. It's not just I'd rather not do this. Like, it causes me physical pain, actual physical pain. And I feel like that can be quite a hard thing to get your head around if it doesn't happen to you. But yeah, it's not just like a lack of obeying that stopped me from doing it. I also had an instance with a boyfriend that like tried to force me to look into his eyes because, you know, apparently our love could overcome autism. Absolutely not, bestie. I can't just step off the spectrum. Also, again, I mentioned it earlier, I had a consistent habit of like doing really well, getting overwhelmed with everything, burning out. And then like, I think the best example of this is first year of college. I'd done college 3 separate times, went to 3 separate colleges until something stuck. Finally, on my last attempt, the first year, I done fucking fantastic. I think I got AAB. And then the second year, it all went downhill. My attendance was 40% and I got DEE, I think. Call me what you want, but you can't call me consistent. Work. This is a difficult one. I have actually had many jobs. YouTube was not the first source of income that I've had. I've done many things. My first job was at 15 working in a pizza shop. I was good at maths, so they always put me on the phone. And I remember a couple of times on the phone being like, I'm going to be sick and I don't know why. Autism, bestie. But yeah, I've had many jobs, worked throughout my life. I've had to like get money. Do you know what I mean? I don't come from a situation where I could just not work. But yeah, the main difficulties with the jobs always was stemming back to the social interaction. Like I remember pretending to be on the phone. If someone was like, hey, can you ring this store and check if they've got this? And I'd be like, yeah, hello? No, sorry, they don't. God, that was bad. Also approaching customers. There was this one job I had. Fuck you, mankind. You know what you did. It was a small shop, like maybe just a bit bigger than this room that I'm in. And I had to approach customers 3 times. And I hated it because like put me in the stock room, I would absolutely smash the shit out of that. I could organise that till the cows came home. But approaching customers, ugh. Also, this comes straight from I have a care plan. So if I ever enter the actual workforce, because I'm self-employed at the minute, but if I ever enter the actual workforce, I have plans put in place to like help me. Because I also, one thing that I have is difficulty understanding the importance of tasks or the level of detail that I need to put in. This is something I struggled with in school as well. I didn't know kind of what to do first, or the level of detail of what to put in one task. And I'll tell you when this really comes to a head, in escape rooms, I really struggle to know what to do first or how hard I should be looking into things. So also I need things to be demonstrated alongside explained to me. I really struggle with too many things at once. I find in life, even with YouTube and stuff, this isn't just like in the workforce, I can only do one thing at once. And if I try and do more, like my brain can only focus on one thing at once. Maybe that's a hyper focus actually. Actually, it has its own name. It's called inertia. It means that we have difficulty starting, stopping and switching tasks. Autistic inertia affects us even if we want to switch to a fun task. Obviously this comes into play in work, specifically with YouTube. I can only do one task at once, or like one task a day. But also this really affects me in my home life as well. Like I'm either going to put the washing on that day, or I'm going to get a bath, or I'm going to work. I might want to read, but I just physically cannot pick up a book. And it's not laziness, and it can feel like it sometimes because you can see all these people doing things that you wish you could do, but it's not laziness. It's just part of the disability. Like I can't take breaks either. If I'm going for stuff, I have to finish it. Something that I am thankful for with autism was that obviously I went to college 3 times. I went to uni, went to 3 different unis, got a master's degree, and I was really fucking hating my life. It was a mixture of hard work. Like I did work my ass off at YouTube. A big bit of it was also just fucking luck, right time, right place. And also a big bit of it I think was autism. I don't think I'd be as successful with YouTube if I didn't have autism. Not to say that you can't be, but for me personally, I don't think I'd be as interesting of a character if I didn't have autism. I don't know what I'd be without autism, but I know that autism definitely comes to play in the success. But also that's not to say that autism doesn't come with its hardships, because it really fucking does. And I think that even though in some ways autism makes me more successful with YouTube, it also really holds me back in some areas as well. Like with school, where there's periods where I do really well and then I have to stop and crash and burn. That happens with YouTube. You have seen it happen since 2020, where I have periods where it's like, oh my god, she's killing the content lately. Radio silence for 2 weeks. That I'm working on. I feel like I'm getting a lot better with that one at being able to manage myself easier. But I'm really glad, and I'm so fucking privileged and lucky that YouTube actually took off. Now let's get into content creation. So the biggest issue that I have with content creation, as much as I love it, and this is like the thing with content creation, I love recording videos. Love that. I love interacting with yous, reading comments, and I love interacting with you on Twitter and stuff like that. That I fucking love. I hate the numbers. Fuck YouTube Studio in particular, because this is everything that triggers my autism. Not that autism can be triggered, but can you remember earlier when I was talking about the OCD tendencies? I have numbers that stick in my head and I can't get past this concept. And then if it's anything below or over that, I'm unhinged. Like, I'm genuinely like thrown up in the corner, shitting and crying. And I'm not even exaggerating. Like, it really makes me physically ill. And the thing is as well, the highs are just as scary as the lows. So if a video does really well, that's equally as terrifying as if a video underperforms for me. Because the thing that really I struggle with is that I have autism, so I like routine and predictability, and I can allow myself that to some extent because I work from home. But also, YouTube is the most unpredictable fucking beast, and that really impacts me mentally. It sounds silly, but it works for me. So if you're doing YouTube, because I've seen other people struggle with this kind of thing as well, or doing Twitch, or if you want to get into it, because content creation is becoming a viable like career path now in a lot of ways. You don't have to be the top of the top to make it work. Do you know what I mean? If you do ever want to get into stuff like that, but you're worried about the numbers side of it, I had to learn the hard way that good or bad numbers impacts me mentally badly. What I do is if I'm ever checking these kind of statistics, I just don't check them, to be honest with you. And if I ever do have to, because YouTube Studio, if you want to access any other part of it, you have to look at the numbers first. I'll put my hand over the screen, and it's a simple solution, but it does the job. So if anybody is nervous about that kind of thing, or even it doesn't even have to be YouTube or Twitch, just apply it to your own contexts. Socializing and networking, I also find incredibly difficult with YouTube and Twitch and content creation, because a big part of it is socializing and networking. So I found out that instead, I just don't really do it. Same with brands and sponsorships. Like, you'll probably be able to count on one hand the amount of times I've done sponsorships on this channel, and I've had this channel for 5 years, and it's absolutely nothing against people that do take sponsorships. They're a lot for me. Like I said, I can only focus on one thing at one time, so doing a video that also includes a sponsorship is too much for me. So I tend to only really take the sponsorships that I'm really passionate about. That has probably limited me in the past. Like, I've probably had some amazing experiences that I've had to pass on because I can only focus on one thing at a time, and I'm happy in my lane, you know? Like, I'd rather be happy, unbothered, than have all of these stressful things on me just to launch my career further. Do you know what I mean? I really like a slow life. That's something that I've learned through YouTube. I really like the slowness. Like, hey hands, building the fucking house today. I just like making content, really. Also, one thing that I have had happen to me is people say that the idea that because I'm successful, I am successful. I'm really proud of myself for being successful, and I'm really thankful to you guys because you guys are the ones that put me on the fucking map anyway. But also, just because I am successful, it doesn't mean that my autism is cured or that my autism's went away. I had someone recently tell me that they think I'm lying about my autism because I own a house. I'm in a very fucking privileged position that I wouldn't be in without YouTube, but that doesn't mean that I don't have autism. Just because I have autism on YouTube doesn't mean that I can't admit to the fact that I've got privileged. I'm privileged in areas, like I might have struggles with autism, but I'm also privileged in areas that people without autism aren't. So, the big 2020 breakdown. I've been really wanting to talk about this for a while. I'm still kind of in this. I'm just going to let you know. The big 2020 breakdown is up until now as well. So, as we all know, there's a theme of me doing absolutely fucking amazing and then it all crashing down. However, I do feel, pat on the back to me, that I'm managing to manage it better lately. But yeah, 2020 was a culture shock, obviously for everybody, because quarantine, it was the first time that we'd all been alone in our house. And also 2020 was the first time that I actually unmasked, and I didn't even know that I was doing it. But also it was a fucking vibe for me at the beginning. Like, I was alone in my house all day, no social situation, no social obligations. I could just, sorry, COVID. Sorry, can't go, COVID. Social distancing. Oh, can't hug you, COVID. Obviously, it was a scary time, but there were some things that were really good as well. So I was going really good at the beginning of quarantine. And then I overworked myself, along with other things as well. And everything kind of culminated into autistic burnout. And I lost a lot of skills that I still haven't regained. Does that upset me? Yes, but I am who I am now, and I'm working on that. You can change as a person, you can lose skills and everything, and it does happen with autistic burnout. And stressing over that is just going to make autistic burnout worse. I've just kind of, this is the hand I've been given now. My editing is less in videos. That's fine by me, because I'm still here. Also, I developed crippling anxiety over YouTube because I couldn't predict it. Perfectionism. Perfectionism is a big part of autism in my experience. I've seen a lot of people struggle with that kind of thing. And it really became debilitating at this point as well. Surprisingly, it was also the point when YouTube released the new numbers thing, so everything was through numbers and you were rated. That's so fucking bad for my autism. Also, I developed an eating and anxiety disorder. I think that anxiety disorder was also made worse by the not eating. But as we talked about a little bit earlier, interoception, I fucking hope that's the word, you know, because I've said it a lot. That tells me that I need to do things, and being alone, away from my family and everything, and not being able to go to the shops by myself and stuff like that. And also Tesco's not delivering to my fucking house. Fuck you, Tesco. Meant that I just wasn't taking care of myself because I just didn't have the urge to. And then I lost a lot of weight, and that kind of became an eating disorder, which I'd like to say that I don't struggle with it anymore. I still do. Anyway, moving on. End of 2020 was also bad. I can't speak about the end of 2020 without crying because obviously I lost someone very important to me. Can't speak about it without crying. My friends were also shits at that point. Don't speak to them anymore. But also one thing that I was struggling with was dealing with this all online was also very bad. Again, I don't know my own feelings. I have to work them out. And I found that I was kind of working them out video through video. However, like I said, 2020 wasn't all bad. Suddenly, the world became inclusive for autistic people. Regression. Let's talk about it. Like I said, I lost some skills. Food is an absolute fucker for me, and I've regressed massively with food. This can happen. I had a very wide and varied palate, which was unheard of me before, because up until the ages of like 20, my palette was beige, just crisps and beige. Crisps are also beige, so they fit in that beige category. But then I found that I was eating everything. I was doing really, really well. And then since the autistic burnout, she's beige again. I'm so sorry, but like I don't like a lot of the food that I used to love. And that one's really tough for me because I loved cooking and everything. And now I'm like, I can't fucking cook. I don't want to cook. Don't like food. So I have comfort foods. My comfort foods, crisps and Diet Coke. Not very healthy, I know. I've lost nearly all of my masking skills and I've lost a lot of my social skills, which means that I can't leave the house anymore. It would not be very mentally well for me to leave the house anymore. I just don't want to. Like, I think a thing that I've learned about myself is really learning how to do things that I want to do rather than what's expected of me. Like, yeah, I can't manage to go to Tesco's or Morrison's by myself, and that's okay because I don't have to. Because I have my mum. And if I didn't have my mum, that's okay because I'd have a carer that would take me to Tesco's. All outlined in my care plan, besties. And yeah, that's okay. And with regression has come a lot of acceptance. One thing that still really upsets me though is I find that I can't really stream anymore, which really upsets me. Recording is different because recording is, you know, I can take however many breaks I want and I can edit out all the bits I'm not happy with. But live is kind of like one-on-one communication for like 2 hours. And I used to be able to do that a lot and I can't really do it anymore. And it really upsets me because I actually really enjoy live streaming and speaking to you like that, but also it takes it out of me. So I don't know, I might just like I would like to get back to streaming, but I think I might just have to try and work out like an autism friendly way of doing it. And spoons. I have no spoons anymore, besties. Which sounds kind of sad, but like it just is what it is. Do you know what I mean? These are what the cards I've been dealt. So the spoon theory is, say you're not disabled, you're just an able-bodied person. You have a certain amount of spoons each day. So you might use those spoons to like 1 spoon to go get the bus to work, 2 spoons to be at work, another spoon to get the bus back, a spoon to cook food and stuff like that, where disabled people have different amounts of spoons on each day. Some days they might have loads of spoons, other days they might have none. And I have had about 1 spoon. Like where I used to have like 5 spoons, do you know what I mean? I find that I can do a lot less now. My life's got a lot slower. The stuff I do is a lot slower. But I think I prefer it, actually. Obviously, I'd prefer to have more spoons, but like I quite like living a slow life. But the spoon theory is very important because it can be quite hard to explain, especially when people are like, well, you could do this then, why can't you do that now? It's because I have no spoons, bestie. I don't have facilities for that, big man. And also acceptance, which I think is the phase I'm in right now. You know, 2020 really forced me to come to terms with like who I am as an autistic person. And I'm really glad that I did because I remember speaking about it in 2020 and it used to make me feel very uncomfortable. And I didn't like having autism, to be honest with you. Like, it was still quite a shameful thing for me. Now, I don't think I'd get rid of it. And I understand myself so much better as a person. And I'm so glad of that. And because I understand myself so much better as a person, the people around me understand myself so much better. You guys understand me so much better as a person. And I really fucking like who I am as a person. I might not get it right 100% of the time. I know who I am. And I really like myself. And I think that's a really important quality. And also, it's not all bad to have autism, right? There is a lot of like roadblocks and everything, and it's really dark sometimes, besties. But I have so many fucking interests that I'm so passionate about, and I fucking love it. I talk at my YouTube channel is basically, I talk about my special interests while I play The Sims, which is also, funnily enough, a special interest. I absolutely fucking love it. I find myself absolutely fucking hilarious. I do. And it is so freeing in some regards to like just not give a fuck about what society says. Like, yeah, I'm in my mid-20s and I like collecting toys. I think we should all collect toys, actually. Like, I just do what I want to do, and I don't give a fuck about what people think about it. And it's so freeing. My sister, God love her, love you so much, Joanna. We're complete opposites in that regard. My sister is very much status quo. Do not delve out the status quo. People will judge you. And I'm very much like, I don't give a fuck. Complete opposites. I think we were destined to be sisters. God made us sisters because he couldn't handle us as friends. And I also do believe that if I set my mind to it, I can achieve anything. Like, obviously in context, obviously I cannot go to Tesco alone. Because of this hyper fixation and hyper interest in things and hyper focus as well. If I wanted to do something, if I really wanted to, my body and mind would find a way to do it. Obviously in context, it can't do everything. Can't jump off fucking 10-story building and survive. Sherlock could though. Hyper focus as well is fucking great. It's great. It's really great. I really value the fact that if I want to edit a video, I know that I can just sit down and edit in one go, and time goes. Same with fan fiction. I get in a hyper focus when I'm reading fan fiction. Yeah, it's like, imagine the happiest place, and like imagine your happiest memory, and like you're just so full of happiness and love and just you're so happy. That is what engaging with a special interest feels like. However, I do get stressed about my special interests because I'm like, well, what if this is not my special interest in the future? That would make me sad. So I get sad now. That is not something I should worry about right now. Moving on. Also, I think it's important to talk about like lesser known things about autism or dispelling myths about autism. So a big thing that I see, and people say this a bit reassuringly, and it's not reassuring, bestie, when you tell people that you're autistic and people are like, everyone's a little bit autistic. Well, I think everyone's a little bit autistic. I get why people think that this is like reassuring, but it is a disorder that you've either got or you don't. You know what I mean? You're born with it or you're not, and that's that. You don't get it through vaccines, actually. And a lot of people can have the same traits as autistic people. Like, a lot of people might, you know, have insomnia, have sensory issues. They might be socially awkward, but you can have those and still not be autistic. It's more about the amount, consistency, and impact on your life that makes it disorder. Like, I was social anxiety because of my autism, which means that I cannot go places by myself, etc., etc. Also, high functioning and low functioning is not a good way to look at it, because, and this is like really harmful actually, and I feel like this is something that is especially applicable to my situation, because people look at me and they watch my YouTube channels and everything like that, and if we're going to go by these terms, I'm high functioning, but this is my most comfortable place right now. I'm totally at ease right now. And even this is hard for me sometimes. So people think I'm high functioning. But what you don't see is the fact that if I didn't have a mum, I would need a care team. I can't manage my own bills. I don't know how to take care of myself. I go non-verbal. So you don't know just by looking at someone. These needs can change as well. So having a high functioning or low functioning label is not a good thing. Also, to delve into that a little bit more, there is no autistic look. You can't look autistic. I've got this quite a bit, like, oh my God, you don't look autistic. What does autistic look like? Babe, what does it look like? Because I bet you know what? A lot more people are autistic than you think are autistic. And you can be autistic and still dress like the status quo. Do you know what I mean? But also, I find that because people have these preconceived notions about like what normal is, that I find that it puts me in a vulnerable situation sometimes, because I look in other people's minds, again, with the high function, low function thing. This is why it's so bad. I look like I am an approachable person. People approach me a lot, actually, and ask me for directions and stuff. And also, people can take advantage of you. It makes people vulnerable, and it's not a good thing to just look at someone and judge them on how high functional or low functioning they are. Also, you can be successful and still have autism. Being successful doesn't cure you of your autism. And there is also no cure for autism. Like, you know how and I've asked, besties, I've asked, because it can be torture in here. ADHD meds can kind of help you focus and stuff. There isn't really anything like that for autism. What there is for autism is just kind of medication to help with the side effects of it. So like a side effect of my autism is social anxiety, depression and stuff. So I can be put on tablets to treat them, but it's not going to do anything for the autism. Some people as well, this is very important, some people self-medicate with these kinds of things. And that is also why I really feel like knowledge about it is important, and resources and everything, because, you know, I have citalopram. right? But some people might not have citalopram. Some people might go for the hard shit to medicate themselves. The not doctor approved shit. And again, it's the like people taking advantage of you in that kind of way. And this isn't just for autism. This is for a lot of like health kind of things. Also, a lot of you wanted me to talk about the diagnostic process. She's a fucking bitch, actually. The NHS is really ran thin. Fuck the government and fuck Boris. But if you would like to, it's shit as well, because I'm not sure how it works in America, but in the UK, NHS is like the big thing. And like my NHS person told me that private diagnoses, I'm not sure how the truth this is. I'm just taking it from the NHS. Private diagnoses aren't really worth the paper that the thingy done. Like, for example, I think what it's referencing is like there's things that I can go to. Sorry, I'm not talking to the microphone. There's things that I can go to, therapy that I can get and stuff, because I'm diagnosed, that if you don't have an NHS diagnosis, you can't get into, kind of thing, which means that the NHS diagnosis is the only like credible way of getting it. But unfortunately, she's a bit of a bitch. So you go to your local MP and you ask them to refer you to your local autism team. You think you have autism. They disagree. Honestly, just it might take a few times. Keep on trying. Bring a list with you. Also, they might refer you to the wrong part, because the adult autism things, like, anyway, it's kind of not that streamlined. Just keep asking for a referral again and again. And then eventually you'll have several meetings with them. You'll be on a waiting list for a while, and then you'll have meetings with them, and they'll go through like everything and kind of get a plan over your life. And then if they go through all of that and they think like, yeah, you might be autistic, then they'll have meetings with your family. I don't think that this one is 100% necessary. I know that there's an autistic creator on TikTok that I follow, and I don't think that they had their family there. I think it was just done with them. But yeah, if that is an issue for you, I think there is ways to be around it. But also, I do just want to say that being diagnosed is a privilege. The waiting list is fucking long. And on this channel, I class self-diagnosis as valid if you've done the proper research. It's fucking hard to get a diagnosis. It's hard in like different ways in different places. Like in America, it's expensive. In the UK, it's free, but it's a fucking long time, and you can't just, if you need help, like right now, if you need the diagnosis right now, you can't get it. So, but I love you all. Also, things to know, I do just want to say that I live in a poor working class area of the UK, Middlesbrough, to be precise, up the borough. I'm still a white girl, so obviously the experiences that I'm talking about can only relate to my experience as a white girl living in a poor working class area. Obviously, people with different backgrounds, different upbringings, different experiences will have different experiences, hardships, positives, etc. This is just my experience as a white girl in working class UK, Middlesbrough, in the north. Thank you all. Thank you all so much for joining me today. This video is really me being vulnerable, and it's going to be really difficult for me to post because I've opened up a lot with your besties. I really hope that it helps some people. Just thank you all for taking the time out of your day to watch this video. I hope it helps. I love you all so much, and I will see you in the next one. Autism Assemble!